Hello and welcome. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching our special show Reset India, where we talk about different policy tweaks which have been put in place to restructure or reset various sectors of the economy. There are various aspects which have been dealt with so far, and today we're going to talk about just one of them, that is the District Export Plan Initiative, or the concept of district as export hubs, and how this entire concept will help the overall export ecosystem in the country. But before we move ahead and bring in our panelists, let us also give you a little bit of a lowdown on what exactly is that initiative, what are the key finer points there on that. And as you can see on your screens, one district, one export initiative merged with districts as export hub initiative for operational purposes. This has been done, and District Export Plan will support the local industry. Also, the impetus will be on supporting the industry from production to export. So the entire chain, the industry will get that support. And DEP, that is the District Export Plan, will enhance logistics and infrastructure at district level and every district out there. The idea is better utilization of Market Access Initiative Scheme, that is MAI. That's a holistic way of looking at how things are likely to move from here onwards. And to understand more and, to go deeper into the detail and get an idea as to how this entire concept will work and how will it help the overall export ecosystem in the country. Specifically, now that we're talking about districts, we also have with us two special guests today. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Dr. Ajay Sahai is with us, DG and CEO of Federation of Indian Export Organizations, and Mr. Devashish Dhar, Public Policy Specialist at NITI Aayog. Welcome, both of you gentlemen. Let me begin with you, Devashish. I have given some outline of what exactly this concept might be, but if you could take us into the detail and make us understand what is it that we are trying to achieve here by having the District Export Plan or District Export initiative in motion here, and what does it constitute largely?
Yeah, can I start?
Yeah, Devashish, please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Vishal, for having me. And I think it's an opportune time to discuss about it. And I think I'll start with how it was announced. It was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister on the occasion of Independence Day, and he said that we're going to focus on one district, one product, and we'll sort of focus on exporting those products and taking those products from a district to the global market. So that was the whole idea of it. And in terms of the semantics, we are focusing on creating the district level export promotion committee and the district level export action plan. So that was that sort of identifies the products, but also identifies the bottlenecks, the opportunities, the challenges that we face at the district level. And this is what this scheme will do. This scheme will sort of resolve these bottlenecks and ensure that our local products are exported to the global markets. Now, my co-panelist, Mr. Sahai, has already spoken about in detail in media that how the anti-China sentiment sort of should be utilized by India right now. And I think this helps in sort of promoting a product, because India's goodwill in the global economy is at an all-time high. So I think this serves a purpose in terms of getting a product accepted. And also, there are two ways to increase exports. One is that you increase your pie in the existing global export market, and the other is to create new market by offering new products. So the kind of traditional products that India's districts have to offer, I think they create a new unique export potential for India, and I think we will have a strong advantage to it. Now we'll come to what sort of products are we looking at. So for instance, Lucknow is famous for chikangari work, right? Mm-hmm. And Muradabad and Chandauli, they are famous for zari zardozi work. So these are the kind of products that we are looking at sort of exporting from our districts. And I think there's already, we see a lot of tourists who buy such products. So we know that there's a huge demand for it. So far as we are able to offer this product at a quality and at a good price point to the global export market. So I think this is the whole idea.
Okay.
And in terms of the benefits out of it, I think those are immense in terms of employment generation, in terms of supporting of our MSME industry, and also in terms of preserving a traditional art. I think if I have to sum it up, and of course, all three of these feed into in supporting India's growth aspirations for the coming decades.
Okay. That's a fair enough summary. If we have to understand the entire concept there, I'd like to now bring in Dr. Ajay Sahai. Dr. Sahai, your views on this concept itself, and then the question I need to understand, and I'm sure my viewers would also like to know is why go in for specific districts here, district-specific policy, to be more precise there.
So in fact, I think it's a wonderful initiative, and we have gradually moved from the onus of exports from central government to the state government, and now we are granular in our approach. We are focusing on the districts because the actual manufacturing, production, marketing, everything takes place in the districts. So more specific we are, I think the better result is likely to yield. I'm pretty sure that the kind of products which has been covered under the initiative would help a lot of artisans to be directly involved in exports. We are seeing exports of these products, but mostly through intermediaries. And I'm sure the kind of affiliation which some of the marketplaces have already done with the state government will help these artisans, the female workers, to directly involved in the field of exports. Let us bear in mind that we are currently at around $500 billion of goods and services exports. As a part of $5 trillion economy, we are looking into an export of $1 trillion in next 4 years or so, which requires a compound annual growth of around 18.9%. Definitely a challengeable, but within the realm of the reach, and these kinds of initiative will help it. I think the advantage of having the product identification district level helps a lot, because you are not only identifying the product, you are looking into why such products have not been exported so far, what are the shortcomings, how you address the shortcoming of that, provide the technical standard required for the market access of the product, look into the market of that. And since we are talking about now vertical integration, we have seen that this kind of policy, which is started with Japan, has been extremely successful in Southeast Asian countries also. Once you are having district as a base for exports, you can have common procurement of raw material, you can have common service platforms also, and you can draw a strategy for that. Even when it comes to the financing by the banks, they feel more comfortable if they are lending to clusters, because unit requirements are the same. So these kinds of synergy definitely help the countries in increasing its exports, and it's very heartening that so far roughly for 451 districts, draft export promotion plan has been put in place. We are looking into the scenario where in next 3 to 5 years time, we are in position to doubling the export from these districts, and I'm pretty sure this may generate around 100 to 150 billion dollar of exports. And once that happens, look at the other economic impact of that in terms of employment, in terms of taxation, in terms of creation of assets. So it is all very good for the economy in the long run, but I personally feel that this is a great initiative to take states as a partner in promoting countries' exports.
Okay, wonderful. That sort of paints a picture which seems to be really interesting here, and obviously forward-looking. But let's also go deeper into the details, and then I'd like to understand, from an example here, Devashish, if we have to make our viewers understand, and those who are the stakeholders on the ground, them also. For example, if there is Mr. A who has, or rather who makes, product B in a district C in the country, from production to export, what kind of support through this particular, plan or concept that Mr. A can hope for or will get? Devashish?
Right. So I think that's a very pertinent question, and I think some part of it is already answered in Mr. Sahai's last response, because if you look at NITI Aayog's Export Preparedness Index, which as of now it looks at the state level, but I think it offers all the key variables that need to be looked into from production to the export value chain. So if I just bring out of 4 pillars, if I mention just the 3 pillars, one is policy, the other is business ecosystem, and the other is export ecosystem. And within those, we have subsections which talk about the export promotion policy, the institutional framework, the infrastructure, transport connectivity, access to finance, as already discussed, the business environment, the trade support. So all these things sort of link up everything from production to export. And if you have a unified policy at the central government level, which has been of course, adopted by states, and now it is going to the district level. I think that creates a very seamless chain. And the other point that has already been mentioned in terms of standardization of the products and making them quality products offers a real potential in terms of creating new markets in the global export market, in the sense that, for instance, the cheddar cheese from Italy. I mean, it comes from a very small part of the Italy, but it has become a global commodity, right? So once you create that sort of, we just need a couple of those products to sort of hit that target, and we'd be good. In fact, that will provide a fillip to our exports. So I think the whole having a unified policy and then having those subsections of transport, logistics, standardization, quality, export promotion activities, and access to finance, I think that will help product B from the district, product C from the district B to go to the export markets. I think the process has been made in a way that it becomes really seamless and feeds into each other.
Okay. Dr. Sahai, you're a veteran of the sector, so we would like to understand what might be, or rather how simple or difficult it might be to go ahead and implement all those initiatives on the ground there, because ours is a heterogeneous country with different needs there, with different districts. There are going to be different focus areas, different products will be there, and the needs also obviously would be different.
No, I entirely agree, and that's the whole purpose of identifying district as an export hub, because all along we have seen that we draft a policy at the central level, we implement it at different districts, and when we are admitting that the problems of the district, challenges of the district they are different one, I think it makes a lot of sense to work at the district level, because if we are knowing what exactly is lacking in the districts and addressing those concerns at the district level only, I think we are much better to resolve those issues. So this is a wonderful initiative. Of course, there will be challenges, but since everything is being done at the doors of the entrepreneurs, we will be much better prepared to address those concerns. If we are looking into the product, let us look into what kind of support can be given. First is that if we are talking about the product homogeneity in a district, the skilling becomes very easy. You require same set of skilling for the entire cluster or entire district. It becomes very easy. You can look into support from Quality Council of India, NID, NIFT to provide some kind of product development design into that. We can chip in the testing and accreditation facility in the districts, because we see that for many of the products, these kind of accreditation is required. The short point which I'm making is that when you are very near to the problem, you are much better to address the problem. So if you are working on a strategy at the district level, I think we are much better placed. In times to come, we may move to the sub-district level also. The more granular we become in our approach, I think the more we are moving towards success.
Okay, indeed, the granular approach does have its benefits, pros there. One more question here, Dr. Sahai, is from an industry perspective, from those stakeholders' perspective, what is it that you believe they also need to do to make this entire concept a success here?
No, in fact, I think the entrepreneur needs to do a lot. Government can just provide the helping hand. So when it comes to the productivity, when it comes to the competitiveness of products, I think entrepreneurs have to play a bigger role. Government role is to provide just an ecosystem. And if that is supporting ecosystem, the rest of the onus lies with the exporters and the manufacturer. And I'm pretty sure they are quite conscious of their responsibility. And all that is required is just an ecosystem, which I'm pretty sure this district as an export hub will provide for our exporters.
Okay. Let's also bring in Devashish again here as well. Devashish, from your point of view, if we have to understand as to how exactly the industry should be taking this initiative and what they need to do there. As Dr. Sahai was pointing out, it's obviously them who will have to take those, few steps in the first instance to meet the government or the policymakers or the strategists halfway.
Right. I think if I have to keep my answer very short, I think one thing that the private sector has to offer is scale. So because in sort of competing with the global export markets, you have to produce at scale, you have to be competitive, you have to offer quality products, and all that comes when scale comes into place. So far, we know that the kind of products we have identified has been usually manufactured by traditional manufacturers, local artisans, and so on. and that's why the scale was always lacking. The product was known, but within India or within the region. But now, because of this government initiative, government support, and this whole sort of ecosystem that is being mobilized around it, I think it makes it very enticing for the private sector to come in, train the people, provide the finance, and be an equal participant in terms of manufacturing these. And that's when, if the private sector enters it, the entrepreneurs enter it, and that's where we'll provide the scale. I mean, if you're creating Zari Zardozi, Chicken Gari, and all these products at scale, I'm sure there's a global audience for such products who sort of always look towards such traditional Indian products. So I think the short answer is that the private sector is best capable to provide scale. And I think the government is providing the right ecosystem for them to enter into this space. And I think that will be their most valuable contribution.
Okay, indeed, the local products are local products. Most of them are very much valued at international level there as well. But Devashish, would it be apt to sum up this, or rather, sort of understand the gist in this one particular phrase which is being talked about is think local and act global, and this also gels with the concept of vocal for local out there, because the one district, one product initiative has also been merged with the district export plan for operational purposes.
No, absolutely. It does speak volume, and we are sort of walking the talk here in terms of thinking local but acting global, because we're looking at the global markets in the sense. And also we should also look at that how, in terms of thinking local, we are resolving many issues, because there are certain other benefits out of this scheme. For instance, the local R&D in terms of producing new product design, in terms of new quality products, in terms of optimizing the process of production and export. I think that will sort of improve a lot. A lot will happen improving on the local logistics and infrastructure, because that's many districts have identified that as a major challenge in terms of production of the local product, and also the use of technology, because now we are in the space of e-commerce, and I think there's a huge opportunity for the local products to sort of being exported to the global markets. So I think in terms of thinking locally, we are actually getting down to the details of what is not working in the district in terms of exports, and that's how we can then act global on it.
Okay, Dr. Sahai, your views there on these two concepts and these two initiatives merging together. Looks like they fit very well within each other.
Absolutely, I think it makes huge sense, because instead of having multiple schemes, if you merge the scheme and remain focused on that, it helps a lot. I personally feel that if you look into the product categories which are covered mostly in the one district, one product, they are by and large agriculture products, maybe the spices. You have textile, handicraft, handloom, GI products, organic products, and all that can be definitely exported in very short time if you are addressing the market issue through the e-commerce retail exports. And I personally feel that these e-commerce retail export provider, they will be tremendously interested in the product. Let me again say, today there is no dearth of demand for these products. Most of the issues remain either on the market access or on the supply side challenges. Some of these issues needs to be addressed by the entrepreneur, but a lot of supply side issues has to be looked into by the government, including the logistics one, because it will be very difficult to arrange for logistics from the remote areas. That is going to be a big challenge. How we are going to reduce the logistics cost? One is definitely the scale at which we are going to operate will help us in reducing logistics cost. But these issues needs to be looked into very closely, because over a period of time, we would look into the scalability of the export, moving the exporter from e-commerce portal to the conventional mode, and that will require a lot of support so far as the logistics is concerned.
Okay, scalability and logistic support, that is one very important aspect there, Devashish.
No, absolutely. So I think in fact, that point is very well illustrated by Mr. Sahai. I'll add one more point to it, is that the state governments and the central government is now working on reducing the compliance burden at the state level. So I think that's really, really important, because the compliance burden state is what? State is made of districts, right? So if you're trying to reduce the compliance burden in terms of how the freight moves, how much time it takes to get the approvals and the clearances and the time taken to set up, say, sewage treatment plant and so on and so forth. So all these things are now being reduced and being rationalized at the state level now. And this combined with sort of feeding into the logistics space, I think that will reduce the cost both for the movement also and in terms of the transaction cost.
Okay. Let's wrap up the discussion. But before we do that, I'd like to understand one more thing here, Dr. Sahai, because in your earlier first response, you cited the example of Japan and how the system is wonderfully working out there. And Devashish also in his initial responses mentioned about how there's a need to counter the Chinese products or the Chinese influence in the entire export market, and this is our opportunity. So if you could contextualize both these things, both these examples vis-a-vis this concept of district as export hub and how it will eventually benefit us.
No, let me tell that this is just sheer a coincidence that the two are coinciding. This may not be the original plan of that, but luckily we have been benefited by the anti-China sentiment, which is on the rise, and people are in any case moving from China. They are looking into the under-supplier, and naturally India is the choice for that. So I'm pretty sure that this is going to help in those who are working in the districts also. But again, I will reiterate that it's only the beginning. There are a lot of issues which needs to be deliberated, needs to be discussed, and we have miles to go. I'm pretty sure that since we are working where the problem lies, we are better equipped to handle the problem, and I'm pretty sure the implementation flaws to a large extent would be addressed. And with that background, I'm pretty sure that district as export hub is going to the nucleus of not only India's exports, but for Indian economy as such.
Okay. Devashish, your concluding comment there on challenges, as Dr. Sahai is pointing out, to this granular approach, and there will be many.
Right. No, I think once you open the field, that's where you identify the challenges. Like once we started doing this ease of doing business for the state level, that's where we identified where the problem was with different states. Likewise, now we are doing the ODOP. Now we'll realize which districts are not able to perform well or which districts are able to perform well. I'm sure there's some usual suspects, some districts doing really good, some districts not doing really good. And that's where we can channelize our efforts. I think that would really help us identify the reforms, the compliance burden, the logistics, the infrastructure, the finance that needs to be directed at certain districts. Because I'm sure that there are enough products, there are enough willing people, there are enough entrepreneurs, there's enough private sector participation to scale this scheme up and to have some important tangible outcomes in terms of export. But I think because we are thinking local and also in a way acting local in resolving these issues, I think we are now starting to see a major change in terms of how district administration and district level business environment improves. And I think it's going to be a major discussion over the next coming decades.
Okay, definitely. It will indeed be a major discussion out there. Thank you so much, Devashish Dhar and Dr. Ajay Sahai for sharing your views and insights on this very important aspect. As our panelists were explaining, this is all about the concept of district as export hubs or the District Export Plan Initiative with the underlying theme of think local but act global. Now, as our panelists were pointing out, we've just started the roll the dice, in fact, and started the initiative. So obviously there will be a lot of challenges on the way, but this is one big opportunity. With this granular approach, it looks like there is a lot more to be explored out there as far as the field or the sector of export is concerned. We'll come back again with a different sector and different approach being applied to that particular sector to restructure and reset there. Keep watching Sunset Television. Thank you.